Yo, what's up guys, Boogle here, and yes, you read it correctly, this is a guide, an in-depth guide for the Crazed Cat, and we're gonna hop right into it, straight into the lineup you'll need for this stage, and I'm gonna make some recommendations and stuff like that that'll make this level a lot easier than it should be. And you can cheese this level, but if you don't want to cheese it, because I'm pretty sure it takes an hour long, you've come to the right place. And of course we're gonna bring that amazing staller, the true form Valkyrie Cat. If you don't have a true form, Samba will work, and we're gonna use another staller as well, the little macho cat, little tank cat could work, just any efficient staller. And Paris cat, you don't need Paris, but it will help a lot, and if you do have Paris, make sure you absolutely use it. And some good substitutes for Paris can be the true form macho legs cat or Valkyrie Cat, and those are some good substitutes for Paris. And of course we're gonna bring the boy dragon cat because it is very useful in this stage, and once again don't need true forms but it will help. And Chimera cat, this is a nice one, and if you do have your Chimera cat high enough leveled, it can survive an attack and maybe get a knockback off here and then. And wrestling cat is also a good substitute for Chimera. And of course the boy Bahamut, and I recommend having it level 30, and level 20 is gonna be risky, just a bit risky, but as you can see, Valkyrie, I mean, the level doesn't really matter, but having it level 30 will help. And yeah, if you have any nice Ubers, you could bring it in the last slot. But finally, let's hop into the stage, and if you are having troubles, equip a rich cat as always, and of course sniper cat will always help in these crazed levels, and cat CPU too, because if you can't stall correctly you can use that. And you can see there's a good amount of ranged enemy units in this stage, that's why we gotta rely on these LD attackers like Bahamut, Paris, or Dragon, or whichever LD attacker you did bring. But finally, let's hop into the level, and this one has no assassin bears, so we're gonna use a amazing method called Bahamut stacking. Yes, and you were able to stack up to 4 Bahamuts before we get the Crazed Cat loose in this stage, and the max is 5 if you can stall at the perfect time, and you might be able to get 5 Bahamuts stacked up, and most people usually get 4, so we're gonna use 4 in this stage. And as you can see, we only upgraded our efficiency twice, and that's when you want to save up and then get a Bahamut out and just get 1 or 2 walls, and that's it. And now we just play the waiting game and try to max out our efficiency, our cat wallet, and by the time we have that max, the Bahamut should be recharged shortly after. So it's basically just stalling, but make sure you absolutely do not spawn too many walls, or else you'll start to push forward. You want to try to stall as much time as possible so your Bahamuts can recharge and you could stack more Bahamuts. That's why it's so risky to try to stack 5 Bahamuts, because you get so close to the base, and if you accidentally hit the base, the Crazed Cat comes out and you have 5 Bahamuts stacked, but you're not ready for the damn barrage of enemies that are coming after. And the way I time my stalls on the wallcats is every time the Bahamut triggers his attack, that's when I know I send out a wallcat. But if there are already 2 more wallcats stacked up and the Bahamut triggers his attack, I just wait till one of them dies, and that's the method I use to perfectly stall the Bahamut. And I'm gonna cut it to when we finally get the second Bahamut recharged, so see you there. And here we go, we got our second Bahamut, and you actually want to wait for your first Bahamut to attack and then send out your second one, because you want to try to keep your Bahamut's attacks out of sync. And the reason you do this, I'll explain it later on in the level. It is very important to killing the enemies behind the Crazed Cat, and you'll see that later on in the level. So make sure you let the first Bahamut that you had stacked already attack, and then spawn in your second one so their attacks are out of sync. And now we're back to just stalling and saving as much distance as possible and trying to stay at the same spot as long as possible, because we want to save time and get our third Bahamut recharged before we get too far and travel too much distance in this level. And I'm gonna cut it to the third Bahamut because I don't want you guys to just wade through this with me. So yeet. And there we go, we got our third Bahamut up, and we're not spawning it yet. And as I explained earlier, you want to wait for your stacked Bahamuts to attack and try to spawn it in and make sure the attacks are out of sync. So there we go, both of the Bahamuts attacked. That means the third Bahamut will come in and attack, and that's perfectly out of sync, and that's exactly what you want. And we want to get as much Bahamut stacked as possible, and once again 4 is the max, 5 is really pushing it, because we want to try to move as little as possible, and that's how we stack up as much Bahamuts as possible, because if we move a little amount we can stack more Bahamuts, and inevitably when you stack too much Bahamuts, of course you're going to start pushing forward little by little and eventually attack the base. But you want to be ready before you attack the base, so that's why I say you cap at 4, and if your 5th Bahamut somehow comes up, that's when you start pushing. But we're going to cut it to the 4th one. Here we go. And as you can see, we did travel a little bit further from the last time, and we got our 4th Bahamut recharged, and he's going to come and stack up with the rest of the Bahamuts, and this is where we start pushing in. And I pushed in with the 3rd Bahamut just to be safe and because my cats are high leveled, but you want to stack 4 Bahamuts and then push with your 5th one, or you can push with the 4th one. But here we go, we're pushing with our 4th one here, and this is the whole reason why you want to have your Bahamut's attacks out of sync, because the cat will push through your stallers, and once it does, if your Bahamuts are all in sync, then it'll all attack at the same amount of time. And when the enemies are moving forward, the Bahamuts that are out of sync will actually attack the enemies that moved forward. And if you didn't understand that, you'll see that here. See, the first Bahamut attacks, it hits the cat, and the second one that attacks hits the Leboin behind it, and the third one actually hits the boy teacher bear. And as you can see, that's why it's very helpful having your Bahamut's attacks desynced. And another good reason why we want to stack our Bahamuts is because of the damage, and of course the damage is a big thing, and getting that DPS is really helpful because the Crazed Cat can push through your stallers very easily, so we want to try to do as much damage as possible before it eventually gets to our Bahamuts and kills them. And that's why having more Bahamuts stacked up eventually kills the Crazed Cat, because Bahamut's power is just massive, and having 4 of them stacked up and 5 and more on top of that is just even more crazy. But this level is fairly simple, it's just cat spam. That's why I said in the beginning, if you want to bring a CPU you can, because you can just turn on the CPU and pretty much leave at this point, because 5 or 4 stacked Bahamuts and Paris, Dragon Cat spam and everything else should take care of it. And if you aren't using CPU, then you just gotta make sure you stall correctly, and make sure you send out that Chimera if you did bring it every now and then, and maybe you'll get a knockback. But yeah, that was it. That was the Crazed Cat guide. And yes, you can cheese this level, but this is for people who don't want to cheese the level, and cheesing it does take a lot of time too. Yeah, but that was it for the guide. And of course, if you have any troubles, or if you're struggling or stuck somewhere in this level, comment down below. I'll try to help you out, and I'm gonna hop into some extra suggestions and just a little bonus for people who stay to the end and are struggling. And if you are struggling, here are some cats that will help out a lot. And if you don't have Paris Cat, once again, a good substitute is Valkyrie Cat, and we're gonna go through some more substitutes also. And those are all the cat levels if you're wondering. And if you have an Ubers, any long distance Ubers is really good for the stage and taking out the enemies behind the Crazed Cat, because that's the main problem. And we're gonna go through some long distance cats we do have, and some of them are good, some of them are not. Nerd Cat, if you do have this cat which evolves into Hacker Cat, pretty sure has a true form also, make sure you absolutely bring it. It will help a lot. Once again, Valkyrie Cat, a good substitute for Paris. And Little Madoka, if you have it, you can bring it if you want to, but it won't do much because it's only good against floating enemies. And yeah, those are some suggestions. But that was it, and hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, subscribe if you're new, join the Boogle gang, and expect to see more Crazed Cat guides soon. But yeah, it's been John Boogle, and see ya.